There's a theory spreading through the Stranger Things community that feels almost blasphemous to say out loud. Max Mayfield should never wake up. Not in Season 5. Not ever. And the more you think about it, the more you realize this isn't just some edgy take from fans who want to see the world burn. This is about something deeper. Something that cuts to the very heart of what makes storytelling matter. When Max's heart stopped beating at the end of Season 4, something broke. Not just in Hawkins. Not just in the Upside Down. Something broke in us. We watched Lucas cradle her lifeless body. We heard his screams. We saw Eleven reach into whatever void exists between life and death and pull Max back by sheer force of will. But here's what nobody wants to admit. Max didn't come back. Not really. Her heart beats now. Her lungs draw air. But Max Mayfield, the girl who skateboarded through grief and faced down Vecna with a Walkman, and Kate Bush, that girl is gone. She's trapped somewhere between worlds. And maybe that's exactly where she needs to stay. Let me paint you a picture of what's at stake here. Stranger Things has always walked a tightrope between hope and horror. It's given us government conspiracies and interdimensional monsters, sure, but it's also given us kids on bikes saving the world. It's given us found families and the promise that friendship can overcome anything, that love can literally bring people back from the dead. But Season 4 changed the rules. It showed us that some prices are too high. Some doors, once opened, can't be closed. And some deaths, even when reversed, leave scars that never heal. Think about what happened in that attic. Vecna didn't just attack Max's body. He invaded her mind. He forced her to relive her worst memories. He made her watch Billy die again and again. He fed on her guilt, her shame, her survivor's trauma. And when she finally broke free, when she ran toward the light, when she should have been safe, he broke her. Literally. Her bones shattered. Her eyes bled. Her brain hemorrhaged. 11 caught her before she fell completely into death, but she couldn't pull her all the way back. Max exists now in a liminal space. A coma that might be something worse than a coma, because her mind isn't just unconscious. It's absent, blank. When 11 tries to find her in the void, there's nothing there. No memories, no thoughts, no Max. So here's the question that should terrify everyone heading into Season 5. What happens when you bring someone back from the dead, but you can't bring back their soul? What walks around in a body that no longer contains a person it once held? And more importantly, what does it mean for our heroes if they learn that some victories are actually defeats in disguise? The Duffer Brothers have spent 4 seasons building towards something unprecedented in mainstream television. They've created a show that feels like a love letter to the 80s, but they've never shied away from darkness. Barb died and stayed dead. Bob died saving the people he loved. Billy died seeking redemption he might not have deserved. Each death raised the stakes. Each loss reminded us that this world has teeth, but they've also given us fake outs. Hopper survived Russia. Max's heart restarted. Elle got her powers back. The pattern was clear. Our core group was protected. Until now. Season 5 is the end. The Duffer Brothers have confirmed this is the final chapter. And endings require sacrifice. Real sacrifice. Not the kind where someone comes back in the next episode. Not the kind where love conquers all and everyone gets a happy ending. The kind that hurts. The kind that changes you. The kind that makes you understand that some battles leave casualties even when you win. Max staying in her coma, trapped between life and death, might be the most honest ending her story could have, because it forces everyone to confront an ugly truth. They saved her body, but they lost her, and no amount of friendship or supernatural powers can fix that. If you're feeling that tightness in your chest right now, that resistance to this idea, good. That means you care. That means Max matters to you, the way she matters to Lucas and Elle and the entire party. But sit with that discomfort for a moment. Let it expand. Because that feeling, that desperate need for Max to wake up and be okay, that's exactly what the characters are feeling. That's the trap they're in. And it's a trap that could destroy them if they're not careful. Grief does strange things to people. We've seen it throughout the series. Joyce refused to accept what was dead, and she was right. Hopper carried the guilt of his daughter's death, and it nearly consumed him. Elle spent years believing she was a monster because of what she'd done to save her friends. And now Lucas sits beside Max's bed every single day, reading to her, talking to her, begging her to come back. What happens to him if she never does? What happens to all of them if they have to accept that some people can't be saved? But here's where it gets even more complicated. Max isn't just Max anymore. Her body is a vessel that Vecna invaded. Her mind is a battlefield where he almost won. When 11 brought her back, she didn't just revive a dying girl. She created a loose thread in the fabric of reality. A door that swings both ways. Vecna couldn't fully claim Max because Elle intervened, but Elle couldn't fully save Max because Vecna had already taken too much. So now Max exists in a state of quantum uncertainty. Neither fully alive nor fully dead. Neither here nor there. And in a world where consciousness can cross between dimensions, where thoughts can open gates, where trauma can literally reshape reality. What does it mean that Max's mind is empty? Is it empty? Or is it somewhere else? Somewhere darker? Let's talk about what consciousness means in the Stranger Things universe. Because this isn't just a story about monsters and magic. It's a story about the power of human connection, memory, and identity. We've seen throughout the series that the mind is both a weapon and a refuge. 11 uses her memories of her mother to find strength. Will's connection to the mind flare nearly destroyed him because it gave the creature access to his thoughts, his fears, his very sense of self. The Upside Down itself seems to respond to emotional states, to trauma, to the psychic imprints left by the people of Hawkins. When Vecna takes his victims, he doesn't just kill them, he consumes them. He absorbs their suffering. Their final moments become part of him, fuel for his power, bricks in the foundation of his new world. We saw this with Chrissy, with Fred, with Patrick. Each death opened a gate. Each gate made him stronger. But Max was different. Max fought back. She had an anchor, music, memory, love. She heard Lucas calling to her. She remembered the good times. She ran. And even though Vecna caught her, even though he broke her body, he didn't get to finish the job. Her death was interrupted. Her consumption was incomplete. So where's Max's consciousness right now? When 11 searches a void and finds nothing, what does that absence mean? The optimistic interpretation is that Max is simply too far away, too deep in her own mind, hiding where even Elle can't reach. That one day she'll surface, wake up, and everything will be okay. But there's another possibility, one that's darker and infinitely more tragic. What if Max's mind isn't hiding? What if it's gone? Not destroyed, but displaced. What if in that moment between life and death, when Vecna had her in his grasp and 11 yanked her back, Max's consciousness got caught in the middle, trapped in the Upside Down? Or worse, trapped inside Vecna himself. Think about the implications of that for a moment. Vecna feeds on suffering. He collects victims like trophies. Their pain becomes his power. But Max didn't die. Her pain exists in a state of perpetual suspension, a battery that never runs out because it never fully discharges. If her consciousness is trapped inside him, aware but unable to escape, unable to die, unable to wake up, then every second of her coma is an eternity of torment. And the characters trying to save her, trying to wake her up, might actually be ensuring that her suffering continues indefinitely. This is the kind of moral complexity that Stranger Things has been building toward. Season 1 was about finding a missing boy. Season 2 was about closing a gate. Season 3 was about stopping a Russian conspiracy. Season 4 revealed that the real threat wasn't some mindless monster or foreign government. It was a person. Someone who was hurt and angry and decided that the world deserved to suffer for his pain. Vecna, Henry Creel, 1, whatever name you call him, he's a mirror held up to every character who's ever been damaged by Hawkins. The difference is he chose revenge over healing. He chose to spread his trauma instead of overcome it. And now he has his hooks in Max. If Max wakes up in Season 5, really wakes up, fully restored, then what was the point of everything that happened in that attic? What did we learn except that the good guys always win and death is just a temporary inconvenience? But if Max stays trapped, if her fate becomes a permanent scar in a group, then suddenly every choice matters more. Every risk has real weight. Every victory comes with a cost that can't be undone. Lucas would have learned that love doesn't always save people, that sometimes you can do everything right and still lose. 11 would have to accept that her powers, as incredible as they are, have limits, that she can't fix everything, that some damage goes too deep. Dustin would lose his optimism, that bright belief that science and friendship can solve any problem. Steve would face the reality that being the babysitter, the protector, means sometimes you fail to protect the people you care about. And Will, poor Will, who spent years being the victim, the one who got away, he'd have to watch someone else get trapped in the nightmare he escaped. The whole group will be forced to reckon with the fact that their story doesn't get a perfect ending. That real heroism sometimes means living with unbearable loss. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This is too dark. This is too cruel. Stranger Things is ultimately a hopeful show, right? It's about the power of love and friendship and fighting back against the darkness. And you're not wrong. But hope doesn't mean everyone lives. Hope doesn't mean every broken thing gets fixed. Sometimes hope means learning to live with scars, learning to carry grief without letting it destroy you, learning that the people you love can be taken from you, but the love itself remains. Take a moment and let me know in the comments what you think Max's fate should be. Should she wake up? Should she stay in the coma? Or is there a third option nobody's considered yet? Because the truth is, the Duffer Brothers have set up a scenario with no easy answers. And that might be exactly the point. Let's look at the narrative structure they've built. Season 5 has to accomplish several things simultaneously. It has to defeat Vecna. It has to close the gates to the Upside Down. It has to resolve character arcs that have been building since Season 1. And it has to do all of this while maintaining the emotional core that's made people care about these characters for 8 years. Max waking up might feel satisfying in the moment, but it would undercut the stakes. It would tell the audience that no matter how bad things get, no matter how dark the story becomes, everyone they love will ultimately be fine. And that's just not true. Not in Hawkins. Not anywhere. But Max staying unconscious isn't just about maintaining stakes. It's about exploring what trauma really does to people and communities. Hawkins has been through hell repeatedly. The people there have seen their friends and family die, disappear, get possessed, get replaced. They've lived through government cover-ups and interdimensional invasions. The town should be a broken, traumatized place where nobody trusts anyone and fear rules everything. But it's not. People keep living, keep hoping, keep rebuilding. That resilience is admirable, but it also comes at a cost. The cost is people like Max, who carry more than their share of pain, who become the collateral damage in a war that never really ends.
There's a scene season for that doesn't get talked about enough. Lucas is sitting in Max hospital room, reading Torah. The book is one of those young adult novels about adventure and friendship, the kind of story that promises everything will work out in the end. And as he reads, his voice cracks. Because he knows she can't hear him. He knows she might never hear him again. But he keeps reading anyway. Because what else can he do? Give up? Accept that she's gone? That's not who Lucas is. That's not who any of them are. They fight. Even when fighting sem opeles. Especially then. But here's the thing about fighting opeles battles. Sometimes you can't win. Sometimes the brave thing, the right thing, is accepting that you've lost and figuring out how to live with that loss. Lucas reading to Max every day is beautiful. It's heartbreaking. It's exactly what you do want someone to do if you are the one in that bed. But it's also a kind of prison. As long as he believes she might wake up, he can't move forward. He can't grieve. He can't all. He's stuck in an endless waiting room, hoping for a miracle that might never come. And if Max wakes up, his faith is rewarded. His suffering has meaning. But if she doesn't, then what? How many years does he wait? How much of his life does he sacrifice to a memory? When does devotion become self-destruction? These are the questions Season 5 needs to answer. Not just for Lucas but for everyone. 11 brought Max back because she could ignore to lose her because after a lifetime of losing people, of being abandoned and used and discarded, she finally has friends. Family. People who matter to her not because of what she can do, but because of who she is. Losing Max would mean accepting that even with all her power, even after everything she survived, she still can't protect the people she loves. That's a devastating realization. But it might also be a necessary one. Throughout the series, Eleven has been treated as a solution. A weapon. The girl who saves everyone. When things get bad enough, eu shows up and uses her powers and they saved. But that's an enormous burden to place on one person, especially someone who's barely had a chance to be a kid. If Max stays in her coma, if Eleven has to accept that she could ignore to save her, then maybe finally, eu can stop being a superhero and start being a human being. Someone who tries her best and sometimes fails. Someone whose worth is determined by her ability to fix everything. Someone who needs just as much saving as anyone else. And what about Mike? The kid who spent 4 seasons being his boyfriend and Will's best friend. Calg between two people who need him in different ways? If Max doesn't wake up, really watch Eleven break under the weight of guilt and failure. Really see Lucas dissolve into grief. Really be forced to step up not as a strategist or a leader, but as a friend who doesn't have answers. Who can't make a plan to fix this. Who just has to be there while people cares about suffer. That's a different kind of courage. The kind that doesn't get celebrated. The kind that just hurts. Will has both through his own version of hell. He knows what it's like to be trapped in another dimension. To have something dark living inside you. To be the weak link that everyone has to rescue. If Max is essentially trapped in a state similar to what he experienced, but with no way out, how does that affect him? Does he feel survivor's guilt all over again? Does he push for them to keep trying to save her because he was saved? Or does he better than anyone understand that sometimes the kindest thing is to let go? His perspective could be crucial in Season 5, the voice of someone who's been to the edge and knows that coming back is always the blessing everyone thinks it is. Let's talk about Vecna for a moment, because this is just about Max. It is about what Vecna represents. He's not the Demogorgon, a Mind's beast. He's not the Mind Flayer, an alien intelligence beyond comprehension. He's human. Or he was. He's what happens when trauma and rage and a fundamental inability to connect with others twist someone into a monster. Every person he kills because he believes they deserve it because they hide in guilt, shame, pain behind a mask of normalcy. He sees himself as Unjud, a cleanser, someone who reveals the hot beneath the surface of Hawkins. And maybe, in a twisted way, he's not entirely wrong. Hawkins is a town built on secrets and lies. Government experiments that tortured children. Parents who look the other way when their kids are suffering. Bullies who make life hell for anyone different. Teenagers like Billy who abuse others because they have been abused themselves. Vecna didn't create that darkness. He just exposed it, weaponized it and Max, sweet Max who tried so hard to be strong, who buried her grief and guilt and kept skating forward. She was exactly the kind of person Vecna could exploit. Not because she was weak but because she was trying to carry more than any one person should have to carry. If she wakes up, the narrative suggests that all you need is the right song, the right memory, the right moment of connection, and you can overcome trauma. That's a comforting message. It is also dangerously incomplete. Because sometimes trauma wins. Sometimes the darkness is too strong. Sometimes you fight with everything you have and you still lose. That doesn't mean you should the fight. It means the fight itself has to be enough. The trying has to matter even when you fail. And maybe that's the lesson Season 5 needs to teach. Think about the audience for a moment. Stranger Things has fans who have been watching since they were kids themselves. They've grown up with these characters. They've faced their own traumas, their own losses. Their own battles with depression and anxiety and the terrible weight of just existing in a world that often feels hostile and overwhelming. What message does the show send to those people if it says that as long as you have friends and you fight hard enough, everything will be okay? Because for a lot of people, everything is okay. People they love stay sick, stay broken, stay gone, and they need stories that acknowledge that reality while we still finding reasons to keep going. Max Stein in Har coma das that. It says loss is real and permanent and unbearable. But it also says the people who love you will keep loving you. DLL read to you even when you can't hear. DLL fight for you even when fighting seems pointless. DLL carry your memory forward and let it shape them into better, stronger, more compassionate people. That's not a happy ending, but it might be an honest one. Ending a world full of empty, consequence-free stories, honest mirrors. If you're still with me, if you're feeling that weight in your chest, that's good. That means you understand what's at stake. Hit that subscribe button if you want to explore more of these uncomfortable truths about the stories we love. Because we are not done yet. Not even close. There's a version of Season 5 where Max wakes up in the final episode. The gate is closed. Vecna is defeated. The sun is shining on Hawkins for the first time in what feels like forever. And in that hospital room, Lucas is hiding to her like he has every day for months. And this time miracle of miracles, her eyes open. She squeezes his hand. She smiles. The party rushes in. There are tears and hugs and the overwhelming relief that comes from getting everything you wanted against all odds. Roll credits. Everyone cries. The show is over. It is beautiful. It is also a lie. Not because happy endings are impossible or wrong. But because this particular happy ending would erase everything that came before it would say that Max suffering was just a plot device. A temporary obstacle. Something to make the eventual reunion more emotional. It would reduce one of the most devastating, honest depictions of trauma and loss in mainstream television to a cheap trick. And the show is better than that. The characters are better than that. The audience is better than that. So let's imagine a different version. Let's imagine Season 5 where Max never wakes up. Where the party has to fight Vecna knowing that one of their own is already lost. Where Lucas has to make the impossible choice between staying by Max's bedside and joining the fight. Where Eleven has to use her powers to defeat the monster who broke her friend, knowing that defeating him won't bring Max back. Where the final battle is just about saving Hawkins or closing gates or destroying evil. It's about these kids learning to keep going even when part of them wants to give up. Even when the person they are fighting for can't be saved. Picture the moment when they finally confront Vecna. He is at full power. The upside down is bleeding into Hawkins. Reality itself is tearing apart and he looks at them. At this group of traumatized kids who refuse to quit, and he laughs. Because he knows what they are fighting for, he knows Max is gone. He might even turn them with it tell them she's trapped inside him, conscious and suffering, feel for his power. And you can see it in their eyes, the temptation to give up. The understanding that they might have already lost the only battle that truly mattered. But they don't give up. Lucas channels his grief into rage. Eleven uses her guilt as strength. They fight not because they think they can save Max, but because letting Vecna win would mean her suffering was for nothing. That's a different kind of heroism. The kind that doesn't come from hope or righteousness. The kind that comes from speech. From stubborn, furious refusal to let the darkness have the last word even when it is already taken everything. And maybe they win. Maybe they destroy Vecna. Maybe they close the gates. Maybe Hawkins is saved, but the cost is visible on every face. Max's body is still breathing in that hospital bed, but there's no one home. Lucas has lost the girl he loves. Eleven has failed to save her friend. The party has a victory that feels hollow because the person they most wanted to protect is gone. Tax tragedy. Real earned, devastating tragedy. And it transforms the story from a simple tale of good versus evil into something far more complex. A meditation on loss and resilience and what it means to be a hero when you can't save everyone. Now there's a third option. One that's darker than the scenario I've described. What if Max does wake up, but she's not Max anymore? What if Vecna's connection to her, that unfinished claim he has on her consciousness, means that when she opens her eyes, something else is looking out? We've seen possession before in this show. Will with the Mind Flyer. Billy with the Mind Flyer. But this would be different. More subtly. More insidious. Because Max would seem like herself. She'd have Max memories, Max mannerisms, Max voice. But underneath, Vecna would be watching. Waiting. Using her as a spy, a weapon, a final Trojan horse inside the group that trusts her completely. Imagine Lucas Joy turning to horror as he slowly realizes the girl he loves is gone and something there in her face has taken her place. Imagine Eleven trying to hit her friend only to find Vecna staring back. Imagine the party having to make the choice they avoided for 4 seasons. One of them has become the enemy. Do they try to save her? Do they put her down? Do they lock her away and live with the guilt? There's no good answer. There's no right move. There's only tragedy compounded in tragedy until everyone breaks under the weight. This version would be the cruelest. It would give the audience exactly what they want. Max Avac, Max alive, and then twist the knife by revealing that they didn't get Max back at all. They got a trap. A weapon designed to hurt them in the most personal way possible. It would be devastating. It would be unforgettable. And it would cement Stranger Things as a show willing to go places most series won't. A show that understands the horror genre is about jump scares and monsters. It's about loss. It's about the terrible things we do to each other and ourselves. It's about looking into the eyes and understanding that sometimes the eyes looks back there in the face of someone you love. But let's be honest. That version might be too dark even for the Duffer Brothers. Which brings us back to the central question. What should happen to Max? And more importantly, what does her fate reveal about the kind of story Stranger Things wants to be? If this is a story about hope triumphing over darkness, then Max wakes up. The good guys win. Love saves the day. The message is clear, never give up because miracles happen to those who fight hard enough. It's a comforting narrative. One that audiences have embraced for generations. And there's value in that comfort, especially in a world that often feels hopeless. But if this is a story about the real cost of heroism, about what it actually means to fight monsters both external and internal, then Max doesn't wake up. The good guys win but they lose something irreplaceable in the process. The message becomes more complex. Fight anyway, not because you will always win but because the fight itself matters. Because letting the darkness spread unopposed is worse than losing. Because the people you love are worth fighting for even when you can't save them. That's their message. One that doesn't fit on a motivational poster. But it is honest. And honest, in storytelling as in life, is worth more the comfort. Leave a comment in my comment below about which version you think will see. Which version you want to see. Which version you think these characters have earned after everything they've been through. Because season 5 is coming and with it, the final answer to the question that's been haunting us since that a chick scene. The question of whether Max Mayfield gets to come home. There's something we need to address before we hit the end. Something that complicates every version of this story. The upside down is the destination place. It's a reflection. A dark mirror of Hawkins frozen in time at the moment will be vanished. Every build, every street, every detail preserved in ash and decay. But it is not just a physical copy. It is an emotional one. The upside down responds to trauma. It feeds on pain. It grows stronger when people suffer. And Max, trapped in that liminal space between life and death, her consciousness potentially scattered across dimensions, she might be the key to everything. What if Max coma is a bug in the system? What if it is a feature? What if the reason Vecna could ignore could te fully clean her, and the reason Eleven could ignore could te fully save her, is because Max has become a bridge? Her body in rocks. Her mind in the upside down. Her consciousness the thing holding the gate partially open. As long as she stays in this state, neither fully alive nor fully dead, Vecna has a tether to the real world. But severing that tether means letting Max go. Really letting her go. Not bringing her back. Letting her die. That would be the cruelest choice of all. The trolley problem made personal. Do you keep one person in eternal suffering to prevent a greater catastrophe? Or do you and that suffering and risk everything you have found to protect? There's no right answer. Whichever choice the characters make, they have to live with it forever. And that's precisely the point. Real moral dilemmas don't have no solutions. Real heroism is making possible choices and carrying the weight of those choices long after the danger has passed. Lucas would be the one who has to make the call. He's the one who loves her, he's the one who's been there every day. If anyone has the right to decide her fate, it's him. But how do you make that choice? How do you look at someone you love, someone whose hand you're holding, someone whose heart is still beating, and say it's time to let go? How do you live with yourself afterward? The answer is, you probably don't. Not completely. Part of you dies with them. And you spend the rest of your life carrying that ghost. But maybe that's okay. Maybe that's what growing up actually means. Not the fake version we see in coming of age movies where kids face some challenge and emerge victorious and whole. The real version where you face something that breaks you, and you have to figure out how to keep living even though you will never be completely whole again. The par started this series as children playing Dungeons & Dragons in a basement. They are going to end it as traumatized young adults who vs and done things no one should have to see or do. Max fate whatever it ends up being, will be the final lesson in that education. Season 5 is titled, The Piggyback. We know this because the Duffer Brothers announced it and that title is significant. A piggyback is someone riding on someone else's back. Being carried, but it is also a term in electronics, in radio transmission. One signal riding on top of another. And in the context of everything we know about Max condition, it suggests something profound. Someone or something piggyback on someone else. Maybe Vecna on Max, maybe Max on Eleven. Maybe the entire upside down on the collective consciousness of Hawkins. Whatever it means, it implies connection, dependencies, and the potential that severing that connection is going to hurt. Think about what the show has been building toward from the very beginning. Views disappearance tagged us that Hawkins is the safe. Barb's death tagged us that not everyone makes it home. Bob's sacrifice tagged us that good people die protecting the ones they love. Billy's redemption tagged us that even damaged people can choose to be better in their final moments. Oppers apparent death tagged us that fathers will do anything for their daughters. And his return tagged us that sometimes, against all odds, people do come back. But Max is different. Max is the culmination. The final test because her fate will determine what kind of universe Stranger Things actually is in. Is it a universe where love conquers all? Where the power of friendship and determination can overcome any obstacle? Where the good guys always win and everyone gets the ending they deserve? Or is it a universe that's more ambiguous, more honest, more painful? Where love matters deeply but doesn't guarantee happy endings? Where friendship is real and powerful but can't prevent loss? Where good people fight with everything they have and sometimes still lose? The answer will define the entire series retroactively. And here is why Max should stay in her coma. Not because it's satisfying, not because it's happy, but because it's true. Because after 4 seasons of escalating stakes and increasing dark turns, pulling back at the final moment would feel like a betrayal. It would tell the audience that all of that darkness was just for show, that the show never had the courage to follow through on its own premises. Max waking up would be a relief in the short term, but it would diminish everything that came before. It would make season 4's finale less impactful. It would reduce the emotional journey to manipulation. It would say that consequences aren't real as long as you care enough. But Max está entrapped. Max fate remaining forever suspended between hope and despair. That's honest. That's real that a novelades that sometimes the people we love get hurt in ways we can't fix. That sometimes heroism is living with unbearable loss. That sometimes the best we can do is keep going, keep fighting, keep loving, even when the person we are fighting for is already gone. That's a message worth telling. A message that might actually help people dealing with their own losses, their own traumas, their own impossible situations. Because there is the secret that nobody wants to say out loud. Stories matter most when they reflect reality. Not the sanitized, softened version of reality where everything works out. The actual, messy, painful reality where good people suffer and bad things happen and there's no cosmic justice ensuring that virtue is rewarded. We tell stories to make sense of that chaos. To find meaning in the meaninglesses. And the best stories don't lie to us, they don't promise that everything will be okay. They show us people facing terrible situations and finding the strength to continue anyway. Not because continuing leads to victory. But because continuing is the only option when the alternative is giving a pentirelli. Sono? Max should never wake up. Not because the show aches her or the audience or happy endings. But because her staying lost is the truest ending her story could have. It honors her trauma. It respects her sacrifice. It acknowledges that she fought as hard as anyone could fight and still didn't win. And it forces everyone who loves her to learn the hardest lesson of all. That love doesn't always save people. That sometimes you do everything right and still lose. That the fight matters even when you can't win. Especially then. When Season 5 ends, when the final credits roll, when the upside down is sealed or destroyed or somehow resolved, Max should still be lying in that hospital bed. Heart beating. Lungs breathing. Eyes closed. And Lucas should still be there, hidden to her, even though she can't hear. Even though she'll never hear. Because that's what love looks like when it can't save someone. It shows up anyway. It stays anyway. It keeps reading that stupid book about adventure and friendship and happily ever after, even when happily ever after is impossible. That's tragedy. That's honest. That's what Stranger Things should be brave enough to give us if you've made it this far. If you've sat with this uncomfortable truth for 25 minutes, then you understand. Leave a comment and memento with your final thoughts. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into the stories that own us and remember, the best endings aren't always happy. Sometimes they are just true. And truth, even painful truth, is worth more than any comforting lie. Max Mayfield should never wake up. And that might be the most powerful thing Stranger Things could do.